You think your shampoo is harmless, gentle, even nourishing. But what if it's quietly damaging your hair, your scalp, even your kidneys? What if hidden chemicals and bacterial contamination lie behind the suds? For us over 50, those risks multiply. Stay with me. I'll expose 9 trusted-sounding brands you should never buy again and reveal the only 2 that are safe. Coming in at number 9, we've got brand A Ultra Clean. You see it on the shelf. Bold letters promise safe for all hair types. The bottle gleams under fluorescent lights. You reach for it, believing you're choosing gentle care. But what they don't show you is the truth buried in consumer complaint files. Multiple users over 55 reported severe scalp irritation within days. Some described hair thinning that started subtle, then accelerated. Others documented chemical burns, actual burns, on sensitive skin. In one state inspection report from 2024, a randomly selected batch underwent laboratory testing. The results shocked regulators. Formaldehyde-releasing preservatives measured at 3 times the legal safety limit. 3 times. That's not a small overage or paperwork error. That's deliberate cost-cutting disguised as product preservation. And here's what makes it worse for seniors. Your scalp isn't just skin. It's a permeable membrane absorbing whatever you lather into it. Those preservatives enter your bloodstream within minutes. Now imagine you're taking blood pressure medication. Your kidneys are already working overtime filtering pharmaceuticals. Add formaldehyde derivatives to that load, and you're asking organs under strain to handle industrial toxins. The brand promised ultra clean. They delivered chemical exposure. Some users reported headaches that lasted days after shampooing. Others noticed dizziness, nausea, a metallic taste lingering in their mouths. One woman in Ohio, age 62, ended up in urgent care with a scalp rash so severe it wept and blistered. The company's response? A quiet reformulation of certain batches. No recall, no public warning, just a silent ingredient tweak buried in small print on their website. You trusted a mainstream brand with clean in the names. They betrayed that trust by prioritizing shelf stability over your safety. And the formaldehyde? It's still there in safer amounts, still accumulating in your system with every wash. For someone over 50, that accumulation doesn't just disappear. It lingers, stresses organs, and compounds with other exposures you face daily. According to industry watchdog data, nearly 18% of shampoos tested in 2024 contained formaldehyde releasers above recommended thresholds. Brand A wasn't alone, but they were among the worst offenders. The kicker? They market heavily to mature consumers, claiming their formula respects aging hair needs. The betrayal cuts deeper when you realize they studied your demographic, learned your concerns, then sold you the very thing that could harm you most. So ask yourself, is Ultra Clean worth the risk when clean means contaminated? At number 8, we have Silky Shine Naturals. The label speaks to you. Botanical ingredients. Pure oils. A soft green palette suggesting nature, purity, garden-fresh goodness. You imagine lavender fields and organic farms. The price point feels premium, so you assume the quality matches. But laboratory analysis tells a darker story. Independent testing in late 2024 detected heavy metal contamination in certain production lots. Lead, arsenic. Trace amounts, yes, but trace amounts that accumulate. These metals came from imported raw materials, sources the company never disclosed despite claiming transparent sourcing. One batch traced back to a supplier in a region known for industrial runoff, contaminating soil and water. The botanicals you thought were pure? They grew in poisoned earth, absorbed toxins, then got pressed into the oil you massaged into your scalp. Some senior users, ages 58 to 74, began reporting strange symptoms after switching to this brand. Fatigue that didn't lift with rest. A dull ache near the kidneys that came and went. Dizziness during routine activities like climbing stairs or bending over. At first, no one connected it to shampoo. Why would they? But when a consumer safety group investigated, patterns emerged. Users who stopped the product saw symptoms fade within weeks. Those who continued reported worsening issues. One man, 67, with pre-existing mild kidney impairment, ended up hospitalized. His nephrologist ran tests. Heavy metal levels in his blood were elevated. The source? Daily use of a shampoo promising natural care. Here's the biology behind it. Your kidneys filter blood constantly, removing waste and toxins. But they weren't designed for chronic low-level heavy metal exposure. Lead disrupts cellular function. Arsenic damages DNA repair mechanisms. For someone over 50, kidney efficiency already declines about 1% per year after age 40. Add heavy metals, and you're accelerating damage that's irreversible. The brand promised botanical purity. They delivered contamination wrapped in green marketing. Roughly 22% of imported personal care ingredients fail to meet U.S. safety standards in spot checks, according to FDA sampling data. Silky Shine Naturals fell into that category but slipped through because testing isn't mandatory for every shipment. They gambled with your health to save money on supplier vetting. And the worst part? The contamination was inconsistent. One bottle might be fine. The next could carry levels high enough to trigger symptoms. You became a test subject without consent. Some users noticed their hair felt softer initially, which reinforced trust. But that softness came from silicone buildup masking damage underneath. Others smelled a faint metallic odor in the lather, but dismissed it as mineral-rich. It wasn't minerals, it was poison. The company issued no recall, just a vague statement about enhanced quality control moving forward. Translation: we got caught, so we'll be more careful hiding it. Would you trust natural when nature's been poisoned at the source? Now at number 7, we've got Herbal Essence Pro Plus. This one stings because it's everywhere. Drugstores, grocery chains, you've seen the ads. Vibrant, energetic, promising natural strength and herbal revitalization. The brand has existed for decades, which lends it credibility. Surely, something this mainstream, this established, must be safe. That assumption nearly cost hundreds of consumers their health. In 2024, certain SKU lines faced recall due to microbial contamination discovered during routine quality checks. The contamination wasn't minor. Testing found Staphylococcus aureus, staph bacteria, in the bottleneck area and threading. Staph lives on skin naturally, but not in cosmetic products. Its presence indicates manufacturing failures, unsanitized equipment, contaminated water sources, or improper sealing. Once inside the bottle, staph multiplies. Every time you open the cap, squeeze product, and apply it to wet hair, you're introducing bacteria to your scalp. For younger people with robust immune systems, that might cause a minor infection. For seniors, especially those on immunosuppressants or with diabetes, it's dangerous. Scalp infections can spread to hair follicles, causing painful abscesses. In severe cases, bacteria enter the bloodstream. One woman, 71, developed a stubborn scalp infection that wouldn't respond to topical antibiotics. Her dermatologist tested the shampoo she'd been using. Staph positive. The bottle had been open for 3 weeks, well within normal usage time. But the contamination was present from manufacturing, not from her bathroom. She spent 2 months on oral antibiotics, suffered hair loss from the infection, and still deals with scarring on her scalp. The brand's response? A quiet recall of specific lot numbers, buried in a press release that got minimal coverage. But here's the betrayal that cuts deeper. The label screams herbal and natural strength, implying purity and safety. Yet lab analysis revealed synthetic sulfates, sodium lauryl sulfate and sodium laureth sulfate, at levels above safe thresholds for sensitive skin. These sulfates strip natural oils aggressively, causing dryness, irritation, and weakening your scalp's protective barrier. That weakened barrier makes bacterial infection more likely. So the product both introduced bacteria and made your skin more vulnerable to it. Industry studies show that roughly 31% of shampoos with herbal or natural branding still contain synthetic irritants at high concentrations. Herbal Essence Pro Plus topped that list in blind consumer testing. Users reported stinging during washing, redness that lasted hours, and a tight, uncomfortable scalp feeling afterward. Some noticed increased hair shedding within 2 weeks of starting the product. One user described the smell as chemically sweet, like fake flowers masking something harsh. That something harsh was the sulfate blend attacking her scalp's natural pH. For seniors with already thinning hair and drier scalps, this combination is devastating. You thought herbal meant gentle. It meant the opposite: harsh chemicals plus contamination risk. The company banked on your trust in their legacy name. They exploited it to sell a product that failed basic safety standards. So tell me, does herbal still sound safe when it's hiding staph and sulfates? At number 6, here's Gentle Glow Anti-Dandruff. The name itself is a promise. Gentle, glow, anti-dandruff. Everything you want for a mature, sensitive scalp. The packaging uses soft pastels and reassuring language, mild enough for daily use and dermatologist tested. You bought it believing you were choosing care over harshness, but consumer lawsuits filed in 2024 revealed a disturbing pattern. Multiple batches tested positive for elevated sodium lauryl sulfate levels, far beyond what gentle would imply. Additionally, one sample batch contained pesticide residues. Pesticides in shampoo. How does that happen? The active anti-dandruff ingredient, pyrithione zinc, was sourced from a supplier who used agricultural-grade materials instead of cosmetic-grade. The zinc compound carried trace pesticide contamination from its production environment. When mixed into shampoo, those pesticides became part of the formula you applied to your head. Older customers with sensitive scalps, thyroid conditions, or autoimmune issues began reporting severe reactions. Rashes that started as redness but progressed to raised, itchy welts. Hair breakage so sudden and extensive that clumps came out during rinsing. One woman, 64, with hypothyroidism noticed her hair thinning dramatically after just 1 week of use. Her endocrinologist initially suspected medication issues, but blood work was normal. When she stopped the shampoo, hair loss slowed within 10 days. Later testing of the product revealed not just pesticide residues, but also undisclosed fragrance chemicals that disrupted hormone signaling. For someone with thyroid dysfunction, hormone disruptors are particularly dangerous. They interfere with medication effectiveness and worsen underlying conditions. The label promised soothing and showed images of calm, healthy scalps. The reality was harsher than any warning could convey. Users described a burning sensation during use that they initially dismissed as the active ingredients working. It wasn't activation, it was irritation from sulfates combined with pesticide exposure. Some noticed a faint chemical smell that lingered in their hair for hours, not the fresh meadow scent advertised, but something acrid and artificial. One man reported that his pillowcase smelled strange after using the product, a medicinal chemical odor he couldn't wash out. According to consumer safety reports, approximately 14% of anti-dandruff shampoos contain ingredient levels that exceed safety recommendations for daily use. Gentle Glow. Anti-dandruff ranked among the top 3 offenders. The company marketed heavily to seniors, running ads specifically targeting mature consumers worried about scalp health. They studied your concerns about thinning hair and dandruff, then sold you a product that accelerated both problems. The lawsuits revealed internal emails where executives discussed acceptable levels of adverse reactions, meaning they knew some users would suffer but calculated it was profitable to continue anyway. The betrayal here is calculated. They didn't accidentally contaminate batches. They chose cheaper suppliers, skipped rigorous testing, and prioritized profit over safety. You trusted Gentle and got pesticides and burns instead. Does mild enough for daily use mean anything when daily use causes daily damage? Coming in at number 5, we've got Pure Silk Repair Therapy. The promise couldn't be clearer. Repair, therapy, Pure Silk. The bottle suggests luxury, science-backed restoration, the kind of product you'd expect to heal and strengthen damaged hair. The price point reinforces that impression. Not cheap, so surely higher quality, right? But a comprehensive review of ingredient transparency in 2024 exposed something disturbing. The brand used fragrance as a catch-all term, hiding dozens of undisclosed chemicals under that single word. Industry insiders call this the fragrance loophole. Companies don't have to specify what's in their proprietary scents, so they bury problematic ingredients there. Independent laboratory testing detected phthalates in Pure Silk Repair Therapy. Phthalates are endocrine disruptors, chemicals that interfere with hormone production and regulation. For seniors, especially women navigating post-menopausal hormone changes, introducing more endocrine disruptors is dangerous. These chemicals mimic estrogen, confusing your body's signaling systems. Some studies link long-term phthalate exposure to increased risk of diabetes, cardiovascular issues, and cognitive decline. You thought you were applying repair therapy. You were injecting hidden risk directly onto your scalp, where absorption happens quickly and completely. Some users reported strange symptoms that seemed unrelated at first. Hot flashes that returned after years of stability. Mood swings and irritability that appeared suddenly. Unexplained weight gain despite no dietary changes. Others noticed their hair felt temporarily softer, but became brittle and prone to breakage within weeks. That initial softness came from silicone coating each strand, creating an illusion of health while the phthalates and other hidden chemicals damaged hair from within. One woman, 59, used the product for 3 months. Her hairstylist noticed significant thinning and asked what had changed. When she stopped using Pure Silk, the thinning stabilized but didn't reverse. The betrayal here is profound. The label says repair and therapy, medical-sounding terms that imply healing and restoration. But the formulation does the opposite. It damages while pretending to heal. The company relies on the fragrance loophole to avoid listing ingredients they know consumers would reject. Internal documents from a consumer lawsuit revealed that the company's own testing showed potential endocrine disruption, but they proceeded anyway, calculating that the repair marketing would drive sales despite risks. Roughly 29% of personal care products use fragrance to hide phthalates and other controversial chemicals, according to environmental health studies. Pure Silk repair therapy wasn't unique in this practice, but their marketing made the betrayal worse. They specifically targeted older consumers with promises of reversing age-related hair damage. They ran testimonials from silver-haired models claiming transformation. They used clinical-sounding language to build trust. Then they delivered a product laced with hormone disruptors. Some users noticed a sweet, almost cloying scent that persisted for days. That wasn't luxury fragrance. That was the chemical cocktail clinging to your hair and scalp, absorbing into your system wash after wash. Others reported headaches after shampooing, which they attributed to stress or other factors. It wasn't stress. It was your body reacting to endocrine disruptors entering your bloodstream. The company never disclosed the full ingredient list. They never warned about potential hormonal effects. They just sold repair and therapy while delivering the opposite. Can you trust repair when the only thing being broken is your health? At number 4, we have Volumax Thickening Shampoo. This one promises hope to those of us watching our hair thin year by year. Volumax, maximum volume. Thickening. The ads show full, bouncy hair and confident smiles. You buy it, believing you're fighting back against age-related hair loss. But a class action complaint filed in 2024 revealed shocking quality control failures. Some bottles delivered only minimal foaming, a clear indicator of very low surfactant levels. Surfactants are what create lather and cleanse your scalp. Without adequate surfactants, the product can't clean effectively. Worse, testing showed microbial overgrowth in some bottles after just weeks of opening. Microbial overgrowth means bacteria and potentially fungi multiplying inside your shampoo. How does this happen? Insufficient preservatives, contaminated manufacturing environments, or formulation errors that create ideal conditions for microbial growth. Some users reported a musty smell developing in their bottles after 2 or 3 weeks. That smell was mold and bacteria. Others noticed the texture changed. It became slimy or separated into layers. One man, 68, developed a severe scalp rash that his dermatologist initially couldn't diagnose. When they tested his shampoo, they found bacterial counts high enough to cause infection. For seniors on immunosuppressants, medications given after organ transplants, for autoimmune conditions, or alongside cancer treatments, microbial contamination isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a serious health threat. Your immune system can't fight off infections like it used to. Introducing bacteria directly to your scalp creates risk of systemic infection. One woman, 73, taking immunosuppressants for rheumatoid arthritis, developed a scalp infection that spread to her bloodstream. She spent a week hospitalized. The source traced back to her Volumax shampoo, which had been open for 3 weeks, normal usage time. The company marketed Volumax heavily to mature consumers, running campaigns focused on regaining youthful volume and turning back the clock on thinning hair. They built trust through celebrity endorsements and dermatologist quotes on their website, but internal quality audits, revealed through litigation discovery, showed repeated failures in preservative testing. Batches that should have been rejected made it to store shelves. The company prioritized meeting sales targets over ensuring product safety. They knew certain formulations were unstable, but shipped them anyway, gambling that most users wouldn't experience severe problems. Approximately 19% of thickening shampoos fail stability tests when checked 6 months after production, according to cosmetic industry reports. Volumax exceeded that failure rate significantly. Some bottles lost effectiveness within weeks. Others became contaminated. The inconsistency meant you never knew what you were getting, a working product or a contamination risk. Users trusted the brand name, which had been around for years and was sold in major retailers. That trust made the betrayal deeper. Some users described a strange tingling sensation after using Volumax, which they initially thought meant the thickening actives were working. It wasn't activation, it was irritation from degraded ingredients or microbial toxins. Others noticed increased itching and flaking, which seemed contradictory for a product meant to improve scalp health. One woman said her hair felt sticky and limp rather than voluminous, and she couldn't rinse the product out completely. That stickiness was likely microbial biofilm, colonies of bacteria creating slimy protective layers. Can you trust thickening when what's actually growing is bacteria? Now, at number 3, here's EcoPure Balance. Everything about this brand screams trust. Eco-friendly, pure, balance, the green packaging. The promises of zero synthetic chemicals. The marketing emphasizes sustainability, natural ingredients, and gentle care for both you and the planet. You bought it believing you were making the safest, most responsible choice possible. But recall records from 2024 tell a devastating story. Certain batches failed stability testing catastrophically. Some grew visible mold within weeks of production. Others experienced drastic pH shifts over shelf time, going from safe neutral levels to harsh alkaline levels that burned skin on contact. Here's what they don't tell you about all-natural formulations. Natural preservatives are often less effective than synthetic ones. Without proper preservation, natural products become breeding grounds for microorganisms. EcoPure Balance used plant-based preservatives that sounded safe but couldn't maintain product integrity. Mold spores, naturally present in botanical ingredients, multiplied once the product was bottled. Some users opened brand new bottles to find visible mold floating in the liquid. Others didn't notice contamination until they'd been using it for days and developed severe reactions. User reports documented burning sensations during shampooing, intense itching that lasted hours, and in some cases, actual hair loss. One woman, 66, lost patches of hair on her crown and temples after 3 weeks of using EcoPure Balance. Her dermatologist performed a scalp biopsy, which showed chemical burn patterns consistent with extreme pH exposure. Testing her shampoo revealed a pH of 10, highly alkaline, harsh enough to strip hair and damage follicles. The bottle's label claimed pH balanced for natural hair health. It was a lie. The betrayal here is particularly cruel because consumers chose this brand specifically to avoid synthetic chemicals and potential toxins. They paid premium prices believing they were investing in safety. Instead, they got products that were more dangerous than conventional options. The company's response to complaints was dismissive. They claimed that natural variation in botanical ingredients might cause slight differences in product performance. But mold growth and pH shifts aren't natural variation. They're quality control failures. Internal documents from regulatory filings showed the company knew their preservation system was inadequate. They received warnings from their own lab technicians that products weren't remaining stable through shelf-life testing. But they launched anyway, betting that eco-conscious consumers would forgive occasional problems in exchange for natural formulations. They were wrong. Roughly 37% of natural and organic personal care products fail stability testing at higher rates than conventional products, according to cosmetic science research. EcoPure Balance was among the worst performers. Some users noticed the smell changed over time, from fresh and herbal when first opened to musty and sour after a few weeks. That smell change indicated microbial growth and ingredient degradation. Others reported the texture became watery or separated, with an oily layer floating on top. These are all signs of formulation failure. One man described his bottle developing cloudy chunks that he initially thought were concentrated botanicals. They were mold colonies. He'd been applying mold to his scalp for days before noticing. The company promised balance, but their products were chaos in a bottle. They marketed heavily to health-conscious seniors, emphasizing safety and purity. They ran ads showing mature consumers with beautiful silver hair, glowing with natural health. But those same consumers ended up with burns, infections, and hair loss. The brand name became synonymous with false promises and dangerous products masquerading as safe alternatives. Is all natural worth it when nature's gone dangerously wrong? Stick around, because what comes next at number 2 will shock you even more. And I haven't even revealed the 2 brands that are actually safe yet. Keep watching. Coming in at number 2, we've got Scalp Guard Medicated. This brand occupies a special place in the market. It's not just shampoo, it's medicine. Sold specifically for dandruff, psoriasis, eczema, and severe scalp buildup. The label carries phrases like doctor recommended and clinically proven. You see it in the pharmacy section, not with regular shampoos, which reinforces its medical credibility. Dermatologists sometimes recommend it. Insurance occasionally covers it. You trust it because it's positioned as therapeutic, not cosmetic. That trust makes the betrayal more devastating. Medical case reports from 2024 documented dozens of seniors who used Scalp Guard Medicated for months and developed serious scalp problems as a result, not despite treatment, but because of it. Patients reported progressive scalp thinning, starting subtle but accelerating over weeks. Areas of inflammation that wouldn't heal. Lesions, actual open sores, forming at the hairline and crown. Some cases were severe enough to require biopsies and extended dermatological care. One man, 69, used the product daily for 3 months as directed on the label. His scalp developed painful, weeping sores that eventually scarred. Hair stopped growing in those areas permanently. The active ingredient in Scalp Guard is supposed to reduce inflammation and control fungal or bacterial overgrowth, but internal audits revealed through regulatory investigations found inconsistent dosing of active components. Some bottles contained far more than labeled amounts, high enough to cause chemical burns with repeated use. Other bottles contained less than needed for therapeutic effect, meaning users weren't getting treatment at all. This inconsistency meant you had no idea what you were actually applying. A batch number printed on the bottom of the bottle meant nothing if quality control was failing at the manufacturing level. What they don't reveal on the label is the long-term damage potential in sensitive users. The product contains coal tar derivatives and high-concentration salicylic acid. In young, healthy skin, these ingredients might be tolerated. In mature skin, thinner, less elastic, slower to repair, they become aggressive irritants. Repeated application breaks down the scalp's protective barrier. Once that barrier is compromised, even the product's own ingredients become allergens and irritants. You develop sensitivity to the very medicine supposed to heal you. Some users reported a burning sensation so intense they had to rinse the product out immediately. Others described a deep ache in their scalp that persisted for hours after washing. One woman said it felt like her scalp was sunburned from the inside. That's not medication working. That's chemical damage. But because the product was marketed as therapeutic, users assumed discomfort was part of the healing process. They endured pain and damage, believing it necessary. The brand counted on that tolerance. They positioned side effects as expected parts of treatment rather than signs of product failure. Medical literature shows that approximately 23% of medicated shampoos cause adverse reactions in users over 60, compared to just 8% in younger users. ScalpGuard medicated exceeded those rates significantly. The company's own data, revealed in litigation, showed reaction rates near 30% in senior users. They knew their product harmed older. Now, after exposing 9 brands you should never trust again, you're probably wondering, what should I use? What's actually safe? I promised you 2 recommendations, and I'm going to deliver. The first truly safe option is Safe Strand Botanical Shampoo. This brand exists specifically to address the failures of mainstream products. They use strictly food-grade ingredients, meaning every component is safe enough to eat, let alone apply to your scalp. There's no hidden fragrance label. Every ingredient is fully disclosed on the bottle and on their website, with explanations of function and sourcing. They've passed third-party heavy metal testing through independent laboratories. They've passed microbial safety testing repeatedly, with results published transparently. And they reformulate whenever safer alternatives become available, rather than waiting for problems to emerge. What makes Safe Strand different starts with sourcing. They only purchase botanical ingredients from certified organic farms with documented clean soil and water. They test every raw material batch before accepting it. They use food-grade preservatives that prevent microbial growth without releasing formaldehyde or causing irritation. The pH is carefully balanced to match your scalp's natural acidity, protecting your skin barrier rather than stripping it. And the formula contains no sulfates, no parabens, no phthalates, and no synthetic fragrances. Users, particularly seniors, report genuinely gentle cleansing without the burning, itching, or tightness common with conventional shampoos. Hair feels clean but not stripped. Scalps stay moisturized and comfortable. Those with sensitivities who've struggled for years finding something tolerable often succeed with Safe Strand. The texture is different from mainstream shampoos. It doesn't foam as aggressively because there are no harsh sulfates. But that lower foam doesn't mean it's not cleaning. It means it's cleaning without damage. The company also provides transparent information about shelf life. Once opened, use within 6 months for optimal freshness. They don't add excessive preservatives to extend shelf life artificially because that would compromise safety. Instead, they produce smaller batches more frequently, ensuring products are fresh when they reach you. The price is higher than drugstore options, typically around $18 to $22 for a 12-ounce bottle. But that bottle lasts months because you need less product per wash. And the cost is worth it when you consider you're not paying medical bills for scalp infections, hair loss, or allergic reactions. Safe Strand also offers refunds if you experience any irritation or dissatisfaction. They stand behind their product because they're confident in its safety and effectiveness. They've been in business for 7 years, building trust through consistency and transparency rather than flashy advertising. Dermatologists who are aware of the brand often recommend it for patients with severe sensitivities. And consumer reviews are overwhelmingly positive, with specific praise for how gentle it is while still effectively cleansing. The second recommendation is Gentle Crest Clean Formula. This brand takes a different approach but achieves similar safety results. Gentle Crest is specifically dermatologist approved, meaning board-certified dermatologists reviewed the formulation and confirmed it meets safety standards for sensitive and mature skin. The pH is carefully balanced to match your scalp's natural level, around 4.5 to 5.5, which maintains your protective acid mantle. This prevents irritation, reduces bacterial overgrowth, and keeps hair healthy. The formula is completely free of sulfates, parabens, and endocrine disruptors. What sets Gentle Crest apart is their focus on mature scalps specifically. They recognize that senior skin needs different care than younger skin, so they include nourishing ingredients like plant-based ceramides that support skin barrier function, gentle cleansers derived from coconut that remove buildup without stripping, and soothing botanicals like chamomile and aloe that reduce inflammation. The result is a shampoo that cleans thoroughly while actively supporting scalp health. Users report reduced flaking, less itching, and stronger hair after switching to Gentle Crest. Those with conditions like seborrheic dermatitis or psoriasis often find their symptoms improve because the product isn't aggravating their scalp. The formula is unscented, truly unscented, not fragrance-free with a masking scent. This makes it ideal for people with chemical sensitivities or respiratory issues, and because it's so gentle, you can use it daily without causing damage or dryness. Gentle Crest undergoes independent safety testing annually, with results published on their website. They test for heavy metals, microbial contamination, pH stability, and ingredient purity. They also conduct user trials specifically with senior participants to ensure the formula works well for mature scalps. The price point is moderate, around $15 to $19 for a 10-ounce bottle. It's not the cheapest option, but it's affordable compared to specialty dermatological products or the cost of treating scalp problems caused by unsafe shampoos. The bottle design is senior-friendly too. The cap is easy to open, even with arthritis or weak grip strength. The texture is clear, so you can see exactly how much product remains. And the ingredients list is printed in large, readable font, so you don't need a magnifying glass to check what you're using. These small details show the company understands and respects their core demographic. They're not just formulating safely, they're designing thoughtfully for real users with real needs. Both SafeStrand and Gentle Crest offer what the 9 brands I exposed earlier don't: transparency, safety, and genuine care for your health. They cost more than Mega Clean or Brand A, but that extra cost buys you peace of mind and protection from the hidden dangers lurking in mainstream products. When you consider the price of treating chemical burns, scalp infections, or permanent hair loss, spending a few extra dollars on safe shampoo is the smartest investment you can make. Ever noticed how these big brands keep recalling batches but never actually changing their formulas? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear if you've experienced these issues yourself. You made it through. You now know the 9 shampoo brands betraying your trust with hidden chemicals, bacterial contamination, and formulation failures. You know about the formaldehyde releasers in Brand A, the heavy metal contamination in Silky Shine, the staph bacteria in Herbal Essence PRO+, the pesticides in Gentle Glow, the endocrine disruptors in Pure Silk, the microbial overgrowth in Volumax, the mold and pH chaos in EcoPure, the chemical burns from ScalpGuard, and the comprehensive failures of Mega Clean Deluxe, the brand most of us trusted for years without question. But you also know the solution. SafeStrand Botanical Shampoo and Gentle Crest Clean Formula offer genuine safety, transparent ingredients, and formulations designed specifically for mature scalps. They're not perfect for everyone. Individual sensitivities vary, but they're backed by testing, transparency, and track records of not harming users. That's the baseline every shampoo should meet, but most don't, which is why you need to stay informed, read labels carefully, and never trust a brand just because it's mainstream or heavily advertised. For those of us over 50, these choices matter more than ever. Our bodies don't bounce back like they used to. Our skin is thinner and more permeable. Our hair follicles are more fragile. Our kidneys and livers work harder to process everyday exposures. Adding contaminated or chemically harsh products to that burden can tip us from healthy to ill. And the brands we trusted most are often the worst offenders because they've learned they can get away with it. So here's what I want you to do. Check your shower right now. Look at the shampoo you're using. Is it one of the 9 I just exposed? If it is, stop using it immediately. Look up SafeStrand or Gentle Crest instead. Read the ingredients on whatever you buy next. And most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Because every week I'm digging into products we trust blindly: foods, personal care items, household products, and revealing what's really inside them. You deserve to know the truth before you buy. Hit that subscribe button right now. And if you're watching on TV, grab your remote and tap that subscribe option, because the next video might save you from something even more dangerous hiding in your home. Don't get blindsided again. Stay informed, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.